The 100 Season 2 Episode 10 Survival of the Fittest. I love this episode for sure. I think every single storyline in this episode was incredibly well done. I think the stuff with Octavia was really cool. I was actually really surprised by how that went because I thought what was going to happen was she was going to kind of be the bridge to kind of Indra and the people at the camp and them actually training together. Like, the whole point of them being together was to train together. And really none of that was happening. And I thought Octavia was actually going to beat this guy and that would kind of bridge the gap. But instead it was admittedly a bit more realistic. She lost to the guy. And she could have won. I mean, really, once weapons are involved, all it takes is admittedly like one good moment. And then, you cut someone and then, you can kind of win the battle that way. So I didn't expect it to be like a bunch of punches or anything and she'd somehow, overpower this guy. But I enjoyed it. I thought it was cool. She lost the battle and Indra decided, she has this real serious spirit. She's the one person out of all the characters, aside from Clarke, who really only has respect from the commander at this point. But aside from Clarke, it's really Octavia who has a lot of respect. She's helped people. She's, kind of learned the language more than anyone else, I believe. And it was cool to see her kind of step up as a character because we have Clarke, who is admittedly kind of like the leader of, basically all the people from the arc. And then Octavia was kind of stepping up and she would kind of be sort of the secondary leader. She'd be one of the leaders of a really important faction of this entire group, which would be sort of the, I guess, arc human, military faction. And I thought that was really cool, especially considering they did lose one of the main people who was guarding Clarke in this episode. But I thought that was really cool, and Indra deciding, you have this real serious spirit, I can train you to be my second. And honestly, the first thing I thought when Octavia asked her, like, what do you get out of it? It has to be that she wants to take over the commander. She, as much as she follows rules, there's always that point where someone's like, I follow all the rules up to, like, right about here because I feel like the leader isn't really doing everything that should be done, and then they decide to break a huge rule, and then, because they're evil, it's like, it doesn't really matter when I do it. So I really think that that's what Indra is planning, and I don't think we'll see that for a very long time, but I feel like that's what it has to be, and if it's not, then, it's still going to be really cool to see Octavia really blending in. I mean, if this does really happen, then she will be the person who is officially blended into both of these communities, and that'll be really cool to see how she can transition back and forth from Camp Jaha to, working with the Grounders and being the second to Indra, and also how that'll work out in general, because even though she might have the respect of, some of the other Grounders, she's still, one of the Sky People, as they call them, so even her being the second, it might not exactly play out too well. So I'm excited to see how that plays out too, because I think it's going to be pretty well done. And it was definitely a great start in this episode with her trying to, blend things together. And we also got the scene where the couple of guys were interested in testing out the guns and stuff, but Indra stopped them because of, kind of the legends that they've had with the Mountain Men and things like that. So I thought that was really cool. Then we had the stuff with Jaha and Murphy I thought was really cool, and it was incredibly unexpected to me because, we've had these two characters who have been in the show, and, Jaha especially, oddly enough, despite some of the crazy stuff that Murphy's gone through, I still think Jaha has had, like, the craziest storyline in the series so far. And, of course, like I said, with Murphy and just him starting off as, like, just the douche character and being cast out and surviving, and then kind of feeling remorse for some of the crappy things that he's done and not being able to stop Finn when he was in the village, which kind of started things off for his storyline, him and Jaha together in this episode. It was just really interesting to see them sort of really bond, and we got to see Jaha see the graveyard where the kids were, and he got to officially say goodbye to his son. And throughout this episode, it kind of seemed simple. He was just talking to Murphy like, hey, we have second chances. That's, that's why we were, we decided to send you guys down to Earth and things like that. And we find out in this episode, when he mentioned the City of Light, I was like, that's pretty cool. They kind of brought that back. He's going to talk to people, and He's gonna try to lead Camp Jaha to the City of Light. They'll escape all the craziness and they'll go to this place where everything is good. And then we find out he's already done that. He's already talked to the couple of people that have decided, yeah, I want to go, or at least the people he trusts, because really there's like no really important character there. There's just a bunch of random people. So he talked to people who, maybe he's been watching for a while and things like that, and decided these people kind of understand or would understand where I'm coming from because I can see how they're dealing with living on Earth right now. So I don't know how that's gonna play out, but I'm really excited. I don't know, with all like pretty much everything Murphy said. There's no map. You don't know where you're going even without the map. Tons of ways to die, this and that. So I'm not 100% sure what to expect out of it, but I know it's gonna be cool. And if they get to the city, then who knows what to expect if they actually get to the City of Light. But it's gonna be pretty interesting, especially with these two characters who, Murphy was like the first person to really say like, hey, we're here because of your father. And when he was basically just trying to kill Wells all the time, he was like the first person to really do that. And Bellamy kind of became leader out of that a little bit, but it was definitely Murphy who was the first one like, I don't like you because of your father. And them kind of bringing up how he died with the little girl and her having killed Wells off because of Jaha, I thought it was pretty interesting. And it was cool to see Murphy say, like, all of these people would have been alive if you hadn't sent them down here. And then, of course, the response to that is, well, they would have died, way earlier. Or, well, I guess not way earlier, but they would have died anyway if we didn't send them down here. And, all of you would be. So it was a really cool balance for these two characters who were basically on the opposite sides of the spectrum, with Murphy being the one where it's like, I'm going to hurt this guy through his son because that's my only real outlet. And that's how a lot of people felt because, it's a bunch of teenagers and even without prison, you're just dealing with disasters. So I thought that was really cool. I'm excited for that to play out and just what crazy adventures they end up coming across and how many random people end up getting killed off, because there's no way all of them are going to make it. It's going to be Murphy, Jaha, and like 5 other people, and everyone else is going to get like just torn to pieces for sure, because that's what the show does. So be prepared to lose all those random people that we already don't care about, because that's what's going to happen in this show. But I enjoyed that storyline. Like I said, it kind of hit me out of nowhere. I wasn't expecting it, but I definitely enjoyed it. And then the stuff with Clarke and the commander, they went Planet of the Apes on us and stuff. That was really sweet. I really enjoyed that. It started off really simple. Clarke's like running from this guy, and it seemed like he was the one that killed her. I figured it was him plus a bunch of other people because I didn't think he ripped the one woman's arm off. I believe her name was Jo. I was like, he didn't do that by himself. He doesn't just have like super strength or anything. I figured it was him and a couple other people, and then it's like, no, it's like a freaking gorilla is coming at you. And that was really cool. It was also kind of funny how in that initial scene before the gorilla actually came about, the commander was like, it's your kill because he was trying to attack you and he basically disobeyed my commands. And then they found out it was like the gorilla, and she just like hits him and cuts his leg, and it's like, all right, we got to get the heck out of here. And then they just took off. I thought it was kind of funny. It was also a little messed up, but he did disobey her command, so he was going to get killed off anyway. And, just their whole scene I thought was pretty cool. And, of course, that kind of led to Clarke realizing, like, this is the actual plan. Your army's already in there. We just have to have Bellamy, release them and then just destroy it from the inside out. So, I thought that was really cool. Just a crazy gorilla just going nuts on and just smashing everybody to pieces. I thought that was pretty interesting. They were actually in the zoo. I didn't realize what that was. I'm like, I don't know what this weird structure is. And then it clicked, like, oh, they're in a zoo. When they were jumping off the rails, that's when it really clicked, like, oh, they're in a zoo because they'd be on the platform looking down. And I don't know why I thought it was really cool, even though immediately we saw, like, just the one little portion and then, like, a couple of open spaces and that's it. But it was like, this is a new thing. It's an overrun zoo. And that's a little interesting to see, even if it's not really pushed into the forefront. It's still really cool to watch. So I enjoyed that, and them kind of dealing with possibly dying. And also we got a little insight into how leaders are chosen, and it's basically reincarnation. So I thought that was actually pretty interesting as well, and that kind of went in with Octavia's little legend of like how the mountain men would kill an entire village if any of the grounders ever picked up a gun. So, little touches here and there that I definitely enjoyed. And then the final storyline, which was just devastating at the end of the episode with Bellamy, you know, Bellamy and Lincoln, and it was like everything was going fine. They're going through the episode. I didn't think anything of it. It was just like, all right, we have some couple of things here, couple of things there. I don't know how it's gonna play out with this whole fight scene and stuff. I'm sure something's gonna go crazy. And then there's just no fight scene because Lincoln, he got taken over. He saw the drug. He remembered that high, and it was literally just a drug, and he just knelt down, and it was just like, man, it was just like, Bellamy's just looking at him like, please, like, just don't do it, and don't fall for this, and he did, and it was just a crazy scene to watch, and I thought it was just incredibly well done, because he didn't really show any emotion. Like, he was looking, and you could tell all he was thinking was like, I don't want to, but I have to, and it was just like a real drug thing, and I just enjoyed that. It was like he just bent down, and that was it, and he got the drug, and he just fell over, and Bellamy's taking the harvest, and based on the preview, which I'm already a week behind, so fortunately I can watch this episode soon, except I have to get through like all my other shows that I'm a week behind on too. But I'm excited to see how that plays out. It was a crazy ending, and it was just like, I wanted him to not do it, but it was like he took too much time to think, and you could kind of tell. But it was just like the way he slowly got to his knees. It was just like, it just made it seep in even more, like as every second passed, and it just really sucked to see that happen. And then Bellamy, trying to fight his way out, and then unfortunately getting knocked out. And Lincoln's just like on the ground with like the other Reapers and stuff. And I don't know, like since he's technically been cured of being a Reaper, I think at this point it's just he's gonna have like a really serious high from it, but it won't like turn him back into a Reaper because I think that was a completely different drug. At least I hope that's the case. I hope he doesn't turn back, and he, because if he doesn't, then it would be even cooler because we get to see the emotional side of things where he comes off of that high, and then he's like completely sober, and he realizes like I screwed up, like I fell for, this high, and I messed up this plan. I basically sent an extra person in to die, which is just going to cause even more people to die. Like not only my people, but people from the Ark and everything like that. So I don't know how it's going to play out, but I love the episode. I think every single story had a really great moment to it. We got Planet of the Apes. We got, Jaha and Murphy leaving off to the City of Light. Octavia becoming a second. And, Bellamy, officially, like, being actually captured in this episode, which unfortunately wasn't a part of the plan. So I think the whole thing, excuse me, was definitely an amazing episode. I can't wait to see the second one and just how crazy things get. I have to assume that the couple of people like Monty and Jasper are going to end up finding Bellamy somehow, and they're going to try to save him, and then that's going to kind of kickstart things. But I don't know how it's really going to play out, but I love the episode. Of course, I want to know what you guys thought, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts, and how do you think they're going to basically destroy Mount Weather? Because now that their one real hope has been truly captured, they kind of don't have any other options outside of all-out war, which really would destroy a lot of people. Like Clarke said, like, acid fog, you're done. Like, that's all there is to it. Acid fog just wipes right over a bunch of people. That's game over. There is no war. There is no giant army. You've been destroyed by smoke, and that's it. So I don't know how it's going to play out. I hope that is how it happens, where like Monty and Jasper find Bellamy, and I don't know how they'd rescue him, because of course I'm sure people like go in and check, like, okay, we have this many people, and I guess it wouldn't really be Monty, because Monty's been captured, but it's like we have this many people in the harvest. If one guy's missing, and especially if based on the preview he's just hanging upside down in the middle of the room, it'll be a little hard to just take him out of there without anyone being suspicious. But I want to know what you guys think, so please comment below, let me know. And thanks for watching.